Welcome to the Mystery and History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Thousands of prospectors climbed steep slopes at the Serra Pelada gold mine in Pará State during the 1980s. The human swarm worked under exhausting conditions in search of ore, becoming one of the strongest symbols of manual mineral extraction and its social impact in northern Brazil. German women worked removing rubble on Tauentzienstrasse in Berlin in 1945. In the background, the damaged structures of the Kaiser Wilhelm Memorial Church symbolize the devastation of the capital after that period of crisis. The scene marks the beginning of the city's rebuilding and its division into occupation sectors. A Dutch woman refuses to abandon her husband, a German soldier, and decides to go with him voluntarily to Allied detention in Walcheren in November 1944. The record captures a rare moment of personal loyalty in the middle of the instability of the great 20th century conflict, challenging the harsh political divisions of the time. Three French children look at a disabled German Panther vehicle in the Falaise Pocket in 1944. The color image in Normandy emphasizes the contrast between childhood curiosity and armored wreckage, symbolizing the direct impact of World War II fighting on Europe's civilian population. Dr. Evarts Graham carries out a crucial experiment in 1953 by collecting tobacco residue to study its effects on the human body. His pioneering research established essential scientific foundations for public health, warning the world about the real risks of heavy use of those products. An imposing column of vehicles moves across Red Square during an official parade in Moscow in 1940. The display of force came at a delicate geopolitical moment in Europe, showing the mechanization of the forces and their logistical readiness on the edge of major conflict. Women locomotive cleaners work in the yards of the Chicago and Northwestern Railroad in Clinton, Iowa, in 1943. The image documents the large-scale entry of women into the railroad sector to make up for the shortage of male labor, keeping transportation infrastructure running for the logistical effort. Veterans of the Vietnam conflict march in protest in 1970, carrying a banner with words against the intervention period. The movement reflected growing social dissatisfaction in the United States, where veterans used their voices to question the political and economic motives behind actions overseas. Financial traders show intense tension on the trading floor during Black Monday on October 19, 1987. The event marked a historic and sudden drop in global markets, creating widespread fear and forcing deep changes in economic protection systems around the world. Workers carry out archaeological digs in Pompeii in 1961, revealing figures preserved by the volcanic ash of Mount Vesuvius. The record documents the careful process of removing sediment, allowing the history of the ancient Roman city to be recovered for studies of everyday life in that civilization. Soldiers used the caltrop, an iron object with rigid spikes, to stop the advance of cavalry and infantry troops in older combat settings. The item was designed so that one point always faced upward, injuring the feet or hooves of anyone who stepped on it during battle. Allied soldiers raise an inflatable vehicle in England during preparations for the historic operation in Normandy in 1945. This deception tactic was meant to mislead German troops about Allied intentions, using fake models to simulate entire divisions before the advance. The fuselage of a North American B-25 Mitchell aircraft displayed decorative artwork called the Ink Squirts, belonging to the 41st Bombardment Group. This kind of nose art was common among crews, serving as a charm and a symbol of identity during operations. Astronaut David Scott looks at the curve of the Earth during an extravehicular activity on Apollo 9 on March 6, 1969. Standing in the hatch of the Gumdrop Command Module, he tested the mobility of the spacesuit, which was essential for the success of future landings on the lunar surface. A dense layer of snow covers the streets of New York after the historic blizzard of 1888, which brought the United States East Coast to a halt. The record highlights the tangled overhead telegraph and electric wires that collapsed under the weight of the ice, forcing the city to plan future underground infrastructure. Dental students at the University of Pennsylvania watch a clinical procedure closely at the clinic of the old Philadelphia General Hospital around 1910. The packed amphitheater shows the practical teaching methods of the time, when direct observation was essential to academic and medical training. Fire trucks appear completely frozen after responding to a major incident in below-zero temperatures in 1920. The record shows the buildup of ice over the vehicles and equipment, illustrating the extreme conditions faced by emergency crews during the harsh winter of that decade. Two waiters serve lunch to two workers on a suspended beam during the construction of the Waldorf Astoria Hotel on Park Avenue in New York in 1930. The scene shows the everyday challenge faced by the workers who raised the great skyscrapers of the American city. Workers labor on the carving of George Washington's face at Mount Rushmore during the 1930s. The image reveals the monumental scale of Gutzon Borglum's project in South Dakota, using controlled charges and chisels to shape the granite and turn the mountain into a lasting symbol of American history. Workers and archaeologists handle the bust of Nefertiti shortly after its discovery in Amarna, Egypt, on December 6, 1912. The painted limestone piece, more than 3,000 years old, became one of the greatest symbols of ancient Egyptian art and sparked global debate over the return of archaeological treasures. In 1943, a billboard at the Oak Ridge facility warned Manhattan Project workers about the importance of complete secrecy. The message used the image of the three wise monkeys to reinforce that nothing seen or heard there should leave the strategic complex. British archaeologists Alfred Lucas and Arthur Mace carried out careful preservation work on a statue in the antechamber of Tutankhamun's tomb in January 1924. The exploration in the Valley of the Kings revealed ancient Egyptian treasures, requiring delicate restoration techniques to protect the legacy of the pharaohs. Law officers inspect a wooden truck suspected of carrying an illegal load in 1926. During Prohibition in the United States, many concealment methods were used in commercial shipments to get past inspections and distribute goods outside official rules. Italian explorer Attilio Gatti poses beside two pygmy men and a gorilla seen in the Belgian Congo in 1930. The expedition aimed to document local wildlife and cultures for European audiences during a time shaped by colonial attitudes and scientific curiosity about African ecosystems. In the 1970s, actress Madeline Smith posed with a bicycle, strengthening her image as an icon of British pop culture. Known for her role in the James Bond franchise, she symbolized the style and vivid look that defined entertainment and fashion in that era. Nikon workers in Tokyo carry out careful inspection of optical lenses in 1952. In a rebuilding Japan focused on technical precision, strict quality control pushed the photography industry into the global market and strengthened the brand's standard of excellence. Foreign tourists used their cameras to photograph local children in a village in South Africa in 1968. The scene exposes the cultural and social contrast of the period, showing how sightseeing tourism behaved toward traditional communities under the segregation system in place at the time. Japanese soldier Hiru Onoda salutes as he officially surrenders his ceremonial weapon on March 11, 1974. Hidden in the jungle of the Philippines for nearly 30 years after the end of World War II, his return symbolized extreme loyalty and marked the final closing of one chapter of the global conflict. Singer Peng Liyuan, now the Chinese First Lady, performs for the forces in Beijing shortly after the events of 1989. The record highlights the role of the arts in official messaging and morale, linking the artist's path to the political setting of contemporary China. A biplane flies over Edinburgh Castle during the 1920s, capturing one of the earliest aerial views of the Scottish capital. The photograph reveals the post-war technological transition, joining the city's medieval and Georgian architecture to the new command of the skies through civil aviation. A child stands on an imaging device shaped like a toy horse in the United States in 1957. The innovation was meant to keep young patients still and distracted during medical exams. This playful approach aimed to reduce stress for children in clinical settings. During the 1940s, Hollywood makeup artist Max Factor created an unusual ice mask. The accessory was meant to reduce facial puffiness in movie stars before filming. This beauty innovation shows the constant search for unusual methods during the Golden Age. A medical visit in the Soviet Union during the 1980s reflects the strict nature of state clinical exams in that period. The scene shows health professionals observing a patient's posture, reflecting public policies focused on physical well-being and preventive medicine inside the socialist bloc. French and German women take part in a posture class at the Trans World Airlines Flight Attendant School in Kansas City, Missouri, in 1961. The strict training aimed to standardize elegance and behavior among the employees during the peak of the golden age of commercial aviation. Painters balance on the metal structure of the Eiffel Tower to maintain its paint in 1932. Since its opening, the French monument had received 18 coats of paint for protection against corrosion, requiring continuous and demanding manual work at great heights. Thousands of workers who built the Chase Manhattan Bank pose in lines across the different floors of the structure in New York in 1964. The striking record documents the huge labor force required for the city's vertical expansion, symbolizing the peak of financial and architectural growth in the United States. The assembly line in Building B at Ford Rouge in Dearborn runs at high speed in 1946. Workers finished the vehicles beneath the national flag, symbolizing the transition from production aimed at the national effort to the civilian consumer market. Several newly built Ford automobiles are unloaded from railroad cars during the 1940s. Rail transport was the main method of mass distribution for the automobile industry at the time, connecting major factories to consumer centers and driving the post-war economy. The Sikorsky S-40 seaplane, known as the American Clipper, boards passengers around 1931. As the largest aircraft of its time, this Pan Am giant came to symbolize luxury and the expansion of international air routes, connecting the Americas through bold and pioneering engineering. The huge metal framework of the USS Shenandoah airship was taking shape around 1922 inside the hangar at the Naval Air Station in Lakehurst, New Jersey. The complex duralumin structure reveals the precision engineering needed to build the first helium-filled rigid aircraft of the United States Navy. Arctic explorer Peter Freuchen poses beside his wife, illustrator Dagmar Kohn, in a 1947 portrait taken by photographer Irving Penn. Wearing a striking polar bear fur coat, the Dane represents decades of expeditions in Greenland, where he contributed to the study of Inuit culture. Neil Armstrong teaches an aerospace engineering class at the University of Cincinnati in 1974. Only 5 years after leading the historic Apollo 11 mission in July 1969, the first man to walk on the moon dedicated himself to academic teaching, sharing his technical experience with new students. Japanese-American architect Minoru Yamasaki poses beside a detailed model of the Twin Towers during the 1960s. Responsible for the original design of the World Trade Center in New York, Yamasaki sought to combine function and monumental scale, defining a new standard for the global city skyline. The McDonald brothers appear in San Bernardino in 1948 when they redesigned their drive-in to create the fast service system. The sign announces structural changes that would give rise to the largest food chain on Earth, focused on operational efficiency and standardized production processes. Traffic in Stockholm shows a scene of organized disorder during Dagen H on September 3, 1967. Sweden carried out the historic switch from driving on the left to driving on the right, aiming to match its European neighbors and reduce accidents in one of the most complex logistical changes of the 20th century. In 1961, a salesman fills up his motorized skates at a gas station while carrying a small fuel tank on his back. This curious invention illustrates the technological optimism of the era and the search for individual urban mobility solutions during the height of the American dream. In 1965, Ford presented a visionary idea by placing a portable television in the back of a front seat in its automobiles. The prototype aimed to entertain passengers during long trips, anticipating a trend that would only become common decades later with modern digital screens. An early electric car is being charged at an improvised station in 1905. At that time, electric vehicles competed directly with combustion engines for public preference. This early technology highlights the long history of the search for alternative energy sources. In New York, a complex network of pneumatic tubes connected 23 post offices across a distance of about 26.7 miles. This efficient system was used until 1957, allowing mail to be moved quickly beneath the busy streets of the metropolis. In Seattle, around 1919, huge towers of cut lumber dominated the landscape of drying yards. The monumental scale of those structures highlights the strength of the lumber industry in the northwestern United States, turning raw material into the basis for urban expansion. During the landing at Cork in 1922, Free State forces used armored vehicles to secure urban control amid an internal crisis in Ireland. The use of this motorized equipment changed the nature of patrols on the city's streets, symbolizing the mechanization of the National Army. A protected Rolls-Royce vehicle moves along York Street during the tensions of June 1935. This adapted model was common in urban policing in Belfast, highlighting automotive engineering applied to public order. Civilians watch the movement while the city's daily routine tries to continue. Princess Elizabeth smiles during an official visit to an American airbase in England in 1944. In the middle of the logistical efforts of the conflict, the future Queen met with crews and inspected aircraft, strengthening the strategic alliance and the morale of Allied groups before the final push in Europe. The future Queen Elizabeth II shows a smiling expression while wearing her service uniform in 1945. As a member of the Auxiliary Territorial Service, she worked as a mechanic and driver, taking an active role on the British home front to support the final logistical efforts of the war period. Princess Elizabeth appears on the lap of her father, the future King George VI, in a portrait taken in 1929. At that time, the British royal family did not yet foresee the changes in succession that would place both on the throne, while continuing its routine of official duties and dynastic image-making. Actresses Marilyn Monroe and Jane Russell left their mark on cinema on June 26, 1953, by placing their handprints and signatures in the forecourt of Grauman's Chinese Theater. The event took place during the promotion of Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, cementing the star's fame at one of Hollywood's legendary landmarks. Children watched the activity in front of a poor home on Cumberland Street in Dublin during the 1940s. The Irish capital faced severe housing crises at that time, with many families sharing small spaces in old tenement buildings that shaped the local city landscape. A young Carrie Fisher watches her mother, Debbie Reynolds, closely from backstage at the Riviera Hotel in Las Vegas in 1963. The photograph captures a moment of family closeness at the heart of American entertainment, revealing the ties that shaped iconic figures of global pop culture. Singer Dolly Parton appears in a recording studio in 1966 when she was only 20 years old and beginning her path in country music. That period marked her transition toward stardom in Nashville, establishing her unique voice before she became a global cultural icon. In 1952, actress Lucille Ball created one of television's most iconic moments by promoting the fictional tonic Vita Miata Vegamin. The scene mocked the health commercials of the era, showing the performer's comic talent and the growing cultural influence of situation comedies. Behind the scenes of Ghostbusters reveal the use of detailed models and practical effects to bring the iconic Stay Puft Marshmallow Man to life in 1984. Film techniques of the time depended on miniatures and controlled lighting to create illusions of scale, marking a golden age of visual effects in Hollywood. Stunt performer Sheila Gabel works on a film set during the 1950s. Known for her strong resemblance to Italian star Sophia Loren, she played a key role in more demanding scenes or ones that required physical effort, helping major film productions of the era continue smoothly. Manfred von Richthofen, world famous as the Red Baron, poses for this official portrait in 1917. As the top German flying ace of World War I, he came to symbolize the technological transition of air combat, leaving behind a legacy that blends technical skill and chivalry. During a period of conflict in the early 20th century, German pilots faced extreme altitudes and intense cold in open cockpits. To endure those conditions, they wore suits with internal filaments, heated by electricity connected to the engine. This pioneering technology allowed longer flights in severe weather. Winston Churchill appears in formal clothing while paying for a taxi on the streets of London in 1908. The scene illustrates the urban transition of the Edwardian era, when early motor vehicles began to share public space with traditional horse-drawn carriages in the capital of England. During the summer of 1906, a lifeguard watched the shore at Brighton Beach in New York with close attention, wearing a period uniform marked with the name of his unit. Safety at public beaches was becoming essential as urban leisure increased, reshaping the character of American coastal areas. Passengers waited patiently for the subway at Hötorget station in Stockholm, Sweden in 1959. The underground setting displayed period advertising posters and modern light fixtures, reflecting the expansion of European transportation infrastructure at the height of post-war urban modernization. People played chess and backgammon on the sidewalks of New York during August 1986. The record captured at the corner of Broadway and West 49th Street in Midtown Manhattan reveals the lively public life of the metropolis, where improvised tables turned busy corners into places for leisure and community. A man uses a cassette radio recorder hanging from his neck to capture the audio of a concert in Poland during the 1980s. At that time, portable technology allowed enthusiasts to record live performances in an amateur way, getting around limits on official distribution. Two teenage girls are photographed in 1956 while listening closely to the record Hello Young Lovers on a portable record player. The scene illustrates the rise of youth culture and the record market after the war, showing how music shaped identity and leisure for a new generation. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.